Okay, it's a video for the new C Audio YUME 2. This is part 2 of an original set that was fairly popular to quite popular. I might speed this up again so that you don't have to look at this. So turn down your headphone now. Okay, and now slow this down. These are actually quite beautiful. This is a single dynamic 2BA hybrid. Let's immediately take a look at the tuning. I have nothing to do with the set. Why am I saying that? Because it's basically my target. Wow. It's a single dynamic, 2 balanced armature. It's got proper. So let's start with the sub bass. It's over the mid bass. It's a little bit lower, less bass than my target. It corrects around 300 hertz. It's got a mids flat plane. It's got a very gradual ear gain. It gets to the point where I find it to be comfortable and accurate, and then it's got a slowly descending a 6K cut like I prefer, bump at 8 kilohertz, which could be related to the coupler. There's surely energy there. Then a fall off, and then more energy around 15K. The tuning to the eye looks brilliant, and I'm not saying that because it's basically my target. Okay, let's talk about how it sounds. We'll start on the left side, the sub bass. I'm going to use Pack Like Sardines and a Crushed Tin Box by Radiohead, Tupac. From Tupacalypse Now, a track called Violent, which is right here, and also Big Boy Killjoy, which is part of the drops on the deck that you see up on the screen, are produced on a deck kind of like that. The energy, the droning, the sometimes humming, depending on what's going on, whether it's a drop or it's like a constant low-frequency drone going on in the background, kind of like Massive Attack Angel kind of does that the whole time. This set does that fine. There's no problem with that. If you listen to EDM and stuff like that, where there's a lot of stuff pushed back into the sub bass, this probably will be fine. It's not a bass head set, but it's also not lean or rolling or light. So there's no issue there. As we slide over to a bass guitar and use tracks like Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits, Black Sabbath, Masters of Reality, Sweet Leaf, Violent Femmes, Please Do Not Go. Actually, no, not Bob Marley. Black Sabbath, focus on that. The bass guitar sounds good. It sounds reasonably clean. To be specific on one point that's not super awesome, but is totally fine, but I did notice it, is the bass play on Sultans of Swing. It sounds accurate. It lacks a little bit of meat to me, and everybody knows that I like my low frequency, so you can calculate that, how that applies to you. Personally, I would like a little bit more, where the sub bass is totally fine, the mid bass seems fine, the bassist is positioned properly, the pulls and releases on the bass strings are good. A little more pop on them would be ideal for me, but people who want faithful reproduction, they're probably going to be satisfied with this. It really is good tuning, particularly in the low end. As we move to drums and we get to something like Limelight by Rush or Moby Dick by Led Zeppelin, the drum play sounds fine. There was nothing I noticed with the drums, and cymbal crashes are obviously taking place while I'm listening to both of those tracks. It all sounded fine. If you focus on drums when you listen to stuff, this will give you a faithful reproduction. Or it doesn't sound like anything's lacking. There's certainly no zing. In the cymbals, the hi-hats sound proper. They don't sound distant or back. They don't sound a little bit too forward. The energy and the harmonics of instruments in the drum kit, Neil Peart's drum kit and John Bonham, actually sounds fine. So it does drums well. The pulls and releases on Sultans of Swing is a personal preference that I just want a little bit more something on it. As we get to vocals, I'm looking at Fleetwood Mac, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J right here. I'm looking at Chris Cornell from Soundgarden. I'm looking at Mr. Blue Sky by ELO. I think this does vocals very well. I think it doesn't push it up into your face. It's not shouty at all. The harmonics of the vocals are slowly descending as we look at the graph again. Pretty much, got to remember the 8K peak is part of it sounds to my ear like 2K is above 4K. And it is above 8K. 8K doesn't sound like it's standing out to me. And you go all the way down, and then 15K is giving me some energy, but there's not a lot of real vocal harmonics up there. it's possible, but it doesn't sound like it on this. So harmonics for vocals, male and female, on the Rumors album sound quite good to me, pleasing. Long listening is kind of the thing that I'm looking for recently, and there's some sets that have come through, like the Gaia, the Stellaris, and other sets like that, the PR1 by KZ, where I am sensitive to that region, 12 kilohertz and beyond, being pushed up beyond the ear gain region, which will say between 2 and 3 kilohertz. That's a personal thing. Maybe I'll update the intro to my video to point that out as well. When you see that boosted late harmonics, that's something I'm probably not going to be okay with, because I can't listen to that for more than a certain period of time, which is a great segue into the final thing that I'm going to talk about, which is the ultimate test for that region for this listener, and that is Vivaldi. Listening to classical music again has been really an eye-opener, an ear-opener for me. The amount of energy in an orchestra, in a string section that is coming out in that region, partly, is incredible. And when you listen to sets that have that region boosted, you end up a couple hours later with a still slight ring. I don't have tinnitus. I don't get that from anything else. I listen to stuff that has lots of energy on the high ends, glockenspiels and Bruce Springsteen, all kinds of stuff that shows energy on a spectrogram up there. But the brute force, overwhelming harmonics of string sections in an orchestra playing Vivaldi, Piano Concerto No. 1 in E major, and others, can be incredibly overwhelming. On this set, it's not the case. So this did well where other sets recently are not doing well. I'm so glad that I got back into classics. Vivaldi, Verdi, and Tchaikovsky are really what I listen to. I don't listen to Bach or Beethoven so much, just the way that I grew up listening to music my parents listened to. So, good set. Weak point, if it has one, and everything has one, I would say that the mid bass, kind of the meat on it, is just a little under what I would call for, but that seems to be something a lot of people cite and say, I wish it was a little tighter right there because I'd like a little more dryness and cleanliness in my mids. You would be served better than somebody that wants a hard kick. So keep your eyes open for this. It's on pre-order, I believe, right now. A link to it on Discord on Linsol below. And look out for other reviews and packages, because I don't have one. And that looks like the Quebec Nordiques or something. I'm not sure. It looks like a Champ close up, and it sounds really good. And I'm out.